Okay.
All right.
So, again, first things first, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. I'm still fresh. It's the first few days of the tour, so not totally battered and worn down quite yet.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, good to feel.
So, before we get into the new album, I'd like to jump to something else, which is your passion for surfing.
Okay.
When did you kind of discover this passion?
When did I just, well, when my mom and dad moved our family down to the seaside in Cape Town. It's about 40 minutes outside the city of Cape Town, a little town called Kommetjie. And yeah, I think in that village, it's like a little surfing village with a drinking problem, or a fishing village with a drinking problem. It's like not many houses, very small, but very good waves. And yeah, people are coming from all over the world to surf the waves in that town. So I think I moved there when I was 6, and maybe I started surfing when I was 7.
Okay.
And from a young age was just on the beach and yeah, living by the sea.
What kind of feeling did it give you, and still does, kind of being out there by yourself on the waves?
I think in the beginning it was a mix. It was like it was a beautiful thing to do as a young kid with like friends. You know, I had a really close-knit group of friends, and we all went surfing, and we listened to like punk music and hip-hop music, and we were like, you know, young rebels, surfing, skateboarding and all that stuff. And so in the beginning, surfing was like a part of friendship and community for me. And then as you get a little bit older and your friends drift away and apart in the world, surfing is like that one thing that I think keeps you all together. Whenever you are back, you know, whenever I'm back in my hometown, if I go surfing, I know I'll see certain friends in the waves, and so you still get that feeling of like friendship and community in the ocean. But more than that, I would say that the most magical thing about surfing is just the connection it gives you to nature, and the way that you feel. You know, when you're in the ocean, you're at the mercy of the elements. You know, you're at the mercy of something bigger than you. The ocean is dangerous, and certainly where I live in South Africa, we have, you know, we have great white sharks, and we have some other kind of things in the ocean there that are somewhat dangerous. We also have very cold water, so it's not the easiest place in the world for surfing, but I think that also makes it quite beautiful. You definitely always feel very alive when you are in the water. You're very aware and always very, very excited and stoked when you get out.
And this, I believe, not just this idea of water and being in it, but also that connection with nature plays a big role on the album. So, am I right in saying that going out on the surfboard was kind of a turning point when you rode waves?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was struggling to write a lot of the songs in this album. I think because the world is just going through a bit of an interesting time at the moment, and you know, I've been. My first album, it was a lot easier for me to write. I was just like a young man with like all this inspiration and all these songs, and I kind of was just writing whatever came to my mind. And I was just very happy in the beginning to be involved in music. Like, I was just grateful that I'd found a career in music. But for the second record, I've now been touring like around the world for some time, and living in hotel rooms and living on the road in tour buses, and not always being, you know, with the people you love and the places you love, not always being by the sea or by the ocean. And that was difficult for me, especially I think in the rise of like Donald Trump in America, and like, you know, I was touring in the States during like the rise of Trumpism and like just craziness over there. And then I was touring here all around Europe with the refugee crisis and the rise of nationalism, Brexit, fascism on the rise, racism is on the rise, and I think as a young South African, we're very like sensitive to that kind of stuff. You know, we have a recent history where we've had to deal with those kind of things, and I just don't want to see it go back that way. And I think that feeling of anxiety about the way the world was going was weighing very heavily on my shoulders when I was writing this album. And I think I had writer's block around that as I was trying to kind of figure out where I stood within it all and how I felt about it all. And there was a moment where I went back. I took some time off from touring last year, January. I just told my whole team I need 6 months off. I don't want to be doing anything. I'm going back to my hometown. And I went back and I stayed with my folks, and my old room is still there with all my surfboards, and a lot of my friends are still living in that same town. And yeah, I was surfing every day and just being back connected with the ocean and with the water, and all of a sudden the songs were just starting to write themselves in a way.
And there are a couple of issues that you deal with on the record. I think nature is one of them. The other one is kind of becoming known or becoming famous in a way. There are a couple of songs like Freak. I wondered about Freak. Was that a reaction to something that really happened? Maybe an encounter? Because I wrote a line down from it. Rather show me love and not your bracelets.
Rather show me love and not your bracelets. Yeah, Freak is definitely a reaction to like, I think some of the, maybe like the celebrity life that I've been like kind of privy to as my career's unfolded. And it's kind of like a rejection of that, you know, like I definitely, the deeper I go into this career, the more I see the falsehoods, the more I see the dark side of it. And there are a lot of very like easy trappings within the kind of realm of fame and fortune, and they revolve around things like ego and narcissism, and things like that I already as a young man had enough problems with like ego and narcissism, just like every human being on the world already does. Right. And as you get into this career, you see there's so much more potential for that to happen. So I think Freak is just kind of my response to it all, just saying I don't want it, like I don't need it. And there are a lot of people in the industry that I've had to deal with, whether it be people I've collaborated with musically, or just other bands that I've had to share spaces with, and professional spaces with, where I've just been, I think, a little bit repulsed by the shallowness. And there's a line in that song that goes like, vapid hollow vein shit, like rather show me love and not your bracelets. I'm just not interested in it. And I think also like I'm a big fan of rap music and hip hop music, especially kind of like conscious hip hop, and certainly where the hip hop movement started. I resonated a lot with that stuff when I was younger, growing up in South Africa, because it was like revolutionary music. A lot of the stuff that they were rapping about in hip hop's earlier days were kind of like anti-establishment conscious lyrics. And I kind of feel like a lot of modern day rap is almost like glam rap. It's rapping about bitches and cars and money, and it's very contrived. And so Freak is like a bit of it's kind of like a reggae rhythm, but with rap vocals. But then it's like anti-rap raps. So it's my anti-rap rap song.
But that's an interesting point that you make. That conscientious rappers. So can I assume that for you, your lyrics have to be real in a way, have to pertain to something that you care about, have to, for instance, I think you wrote about what's going on in Cape Town in terms of the water. So was that kind of already there, that you felt, okay, I have this platform and I can talk about these things?
Yeah, I think, look, my worst is when I hear like people on the internet are often saying things like, if artists try and say anything political, or if they want to have an opinion, you always hear people in the comments writing things like, shut up, you're an artist, we don't want to hear your opinion, we want to hear your music. Or like, I like your music, I don't want to hear about your politics, which is a crazy thought for me, because historically, artists, musicians, painters, writers, philosophers, they've always been part of the same breed of people who are bold enough to speak their truth and to kind of say it like it is, and say it like they see it. So I'm definitely not like an over politicized artist. I don't want to lace everything I do with politics, but I certainly want the music that I write and the things that I put out there to have meaning, certainly to me, and be authentic to like the ideas and the things I see around me in the world. And yeah, I try and not make anything too literal. So I mean, people can still take from my album just about whatever they want. There's certainly nothing in there which is pointing fingers at people. But yeah, I believe that, when I listen to music myself, I can hear very quickly if there's an authentic voice behind an artist or not, And you know that when you listen to an album and you like maybe one or two songs and the rest, you're just like, I don't even know what any of this music is about, because they maybe were just trying to write like a hit song every time, you know. It's all about trying to write a pop hit. And so I wanted on this album just to kind of feel like I was saying something valuable to the world, for myself. I have to perform these songs all around the world for the next 2 or 3 years, if not longer, like maybe for the rest of my career. So let me be singing stuff that I believe in, you know.
That's fair enough.